Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch the interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me. Hello and welcome to a special interview for The Wire. With the violence and killings in Manipur continuing sporadically, the Kukis have stepped up their demand for a separate administration. Joining me now to explain why this is necessary and indeed why it's justified is the General Secretary of the Kuki People's Alliance and a close ally of the BJP government in Manipur, Wilson Lalam Hangsheng. Mr. Hangsheng, let me first start by asking you about that recent statement signed by all 10 Kuki MLAs, 7 from the BJP, 2 from your own Kuki People's Alliance, demanding a separate administration. As General Secretary of the Kuki People's Alliance, do you endorse this demand?
Of course, I do endorse the demand. In fact, I was there, although I was not in the front line, but I was there in the background, the discussion before that. I was with them all the time. I'm very much part of it.
And do you believe that a separate administration is essential to solve the problem in Manipur?
I think that's the only solution to look ahead now. There's no going back.
The only solution? And you're saying there's no going back?
It's not possible.
Let's then try and understand this solution before we go into details. To begin with, when you talk about a separate administration, do you want a new state for the Kukis? Are you talking about a union territory? Or are you talking about autonomous territorial councils like the Bodos have in Assam? Which of the three?
The separation means separation, because for centuries we have been living together. In the last few years, so much hatred has come, and we have literally been kicked out of the valley. And separation is already complete now. The Kukis have left the valley. There's nobody there left now. And all the Meiteis have left the hills. It's demographically separated already, geographically separated. We are living separate now. There's nothing more to separate. It is only the administration has to come now.
But when you say separation means separation, what exactly do you have in mind? A separate state or a separate union territory?
That is why we are keeping it keeping the options open. It could be a state, it could be a union territory, and also could be certain other mechanisms which separates.
What are those certain other mechanisms? Spell those out.
Well, during the last assembly, there was a Hill Areas Council bill, which literally separated the administration of the hills from the valley. That was scuttled by the government. I mean, obviously it was the majoritarian government. It was scuttled and it never came up again.
Let me try and see if I can get some clarity here. It's widely known that until the present troubles began on the 3rd or 4th of May, the Modi government was talking to various Kuki organizations, and it's widely known that there was more or less agreement on creating autonomous territorial councils both for the Kukis and the Nagas. Now with this fresh demand of a separate administration, is that a closed chapter, or can those talks be revived but with a view to enhancing the autonomy that was intended?
I think you're referring to the Sioux talks. The Sioux militants have been in talks with the government. There's been a tripartite discussion between the center and the Sioux, and later on the Manipur government also joined in. And the discussion there has been to have an amicable arrangements within Manipur of empowering the district councils or a sixth schedule, or finally they settled down for a territorial council. And it was about what kind of territorial council it was going on.
Would that be acceptable today, but with greater autonomy?
Now that within the Manipur, that was a talk within the Manipur. Now that they have scuttled it, we have not scuttled it by coming into this violent separation. No, that is out of the question now. How can we go back?
So if I understand you correctly, it has to be a solution outside Manipur. A solution within Manipur is unacceptable.
It is not unacceptable. It is impossible now.
So it has to be outside Manipur.
It has to be outside Manipur. It has to be a separation of administration.
Which means it has to be either a separate state or a union territory.
Union territory or an totally autonomous administration, which is nothing to do with the Imphal government.
But the Indian constitution only has two types of union territories, either those with their own legislative assembly or those without, and a state. It has to be one of those three.
Well, if it is so rigid that there's only two choices, then it has to be only these two choices.
Union territory or a state.
Well, if it is so rigid that you can't think of any other mechanism, then these are the two choices we have. It is up to we're throwing it to the government.
You can certainly think of another mechanism. I'm not saying you can't, but it would have to be a creative mechanism designed specially for the Kukis.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
So that would be your preference.
Any of these would be, I mean, of course, we would want a separate state, but a separate state for a small group, I don't think it is administratively viable.
But the union territory would be possible because Pondicherry has a union territory.
Would be possible.
So the one thing is clear, I think it's important that I should emphasize this for the audience, that it is impossible for the Kukis to continue to live within Manipur. The arrangement has to be outside Manipur, and therefore we're talking about either one of two types of union territory, with an assembly or without, or a state. One of those three, or something new and creative that we don't know about.
Yes, exactly.
But outside Manipur is what it has to be.
Yes, it has to be. It is, the situation has been thrown up like that.
Let me, at this point, quote from that statement signed by all 10 Kuki MLAs. This is what they said in that statement. Our people can no longer exist under Manipur as the hatred against our tribal communities reached such a height that MLAs, ministers, pastors, police and civil officers, laymen, women and even children were not spared. And then that statement went on to say the Manipur government miserably failed to protect the Kukis. But the truth is, and you mentioned this a moment ago, that the Kukis and the Nagas and the Meiteis have lived together not for decades but for centuries in Manipur. What has brought you to this point that today you're saying our people can no longer exist under Manipur?
If you look at the history, the Kukis have never separated themselves from even in the Maharaja days, pre-British days. They have always worked with the Maharaja. They have sent contingents of soldiers, whatever, irregulars or whatever you can call it. It's there in every British scriptures, the books, the military documents or whatever, it is mentioned there.
But then what went wrong?
What went wrong in the last 4-5 years, I think. That's when the certain groups have got radicalized. To name them, the Arambai Tengol, then you have the Meitei Lipun. These, in the beginning, we thought were just cultural organizations, reviving old Meitei cultures. Beautiful organizations, we thought. But they have been, it looks like they have been systematically and secretly radicalized.
Both the Arambai Tengol and the Meitei Lipun are very closely associated with Biren Singh's government.
Yes, he is the chief of it. And in fact, the MP, the Sana Jauba, is the chairman of those two organizations.
So when you say that the situation changed in the last 4 or 5 years, you're saying it changed under the chief ministership of Biren Singh?
Yes, I have been saying it again and again. His speeches show it. I mean, there's nothing to hide. He himself has said it.
So you're saying Biren Singh is the cause of the problem?
It is.
Biren Singh has pushed the Kukis to a point where they say, and I'm quoting, our people can no longer exist under Manipur.
Yes.
So you have lost faith in Biren Singh.
Exactly.
But
Not me. The people have lost faith.
But what about the Kuki People's Alliance? You're still supporting his government.
No, we supported them at a time when the government was formed. They were in a majority. We felt that just sitting in the opposition didn't make sense. It would make more sense sitting along with the government, take the floor.
What about today? Today, do you support his government?
Today, we have not made any declaration yet. But basically, it is a BJP government. We have nothing against the BJP.
But the BJP government is headed by Biren Singh, so you have to make up your mind.
We are yet to make up our mind. We are yet to make up our mind.
Why is there doubt?
Well, we will see. We'll see. And in fact, we are inclined to. There's a lot of pressure from all the civil society that why we have been criticized a lot. Why are you still with the government? Now, at this point, it doesn't make a difference whether we are with the government.
Because he has a majority of his own.
Because we are out of Manipur anyway. Right
But the
now.
interesting thing is this, you're distinguishing between the BJP, you say you have no problem with the BJP, but you said categorically you've lost faith in Biren Singh. But Biren Singh is the BJP in Manipur.
This
He heads the
BJP
government.
in Manipur is very different from the BJP in Delhi. The BJP in Delhi is not against the Kukis. It is the BJP, the Manipur government is.
Well, you say the BJP in Delhi is not against the Kukis, but the Home Minister has failed to go to Manipur. He has said in Guwahati that he will go there in another 3-4 days, but he still hasn't gone. He's just next door in Guwahati.
Yes.
He's chosen to inaugurate a National Forensic Science University. He's laying the stone for that, but he doesn't seem to be concerned about the problem in Manipur. Earlier, he was campaigning in Karnataka and he wasn't concerned. So why do you make this distinction between the BJP in Delhi and the BJP in Manipur?
Well, the Home Minister, I just saw his speech just now, which he made yesterday. He's coming to Manipur today. He says he's
not today. He's coming in 2-3 days' time, he said. He hasn't actually said when. Sambit Patra has said he may go there on the 28th, 29th, but that's Sambit Patra. The Home Minister has only said, I will go for 3 days in a few days' time. In a few days' time could become a week.
Maybe I heard it
but
wrong.
Come back to my point. Why are you distinguishing between Biren Singh, who is the BJP, and the BJP in Delhi?
He's riding on the BJP to have to get his own agenda done. The BJP
And
in
the
Delhi is
BJP
being fooled by him.
But they seem to be happy to be fooled by him because they haven't removed him.
We are waiting for him I mean, as of now, whether they remove him or not, or they dismiss the government, we're not.
Let me ask you this. Suppose the BJP were to come around, perhaps when Mr. Amit Shah visits Manipur, and agree to remove Biren Singh. Would you then accept a solution with great autonomy, but within Manipur?
No.
No.
That stage is gone. We are in a different orbit now.
So no matter who is Chief Minister of the BJP government in Imphal, there cannot be a solution within Manipur. That stage is gone.
That is a conscious decision we have taken as a party.
And the other conscious decision is you're saying you're inclined towards withdrawing support to the Biren Singh government, but you haven't done it. You're under pressure from people to do it, but you haven't done it. But you continue to support the BJP in Delhi. That has emerged from our conversation.
Yes, we look at the BJP in Delhi as a government of India. We don't look at it as a BJP government. It is a government of India. We have nothing against the government of India.
But you do have something against the BJP government in Manipur.
Yes, it is a government. We have been saying it again. It is not a government of Manipur. It is a government of Meiteis.
Let's go back to when this problem started. I'm talking about the All Tribal Students Union of Manipur rally on the 3rd of May.
Yes.
At that time, Kukis and Nagas both were participating in that rally in very large numbers. That rally led almost directly and immediately to Meitei Kuki clashes, killings and violence. But the Nagas were unaffected and remain unaffected. How do you explain that?
I'll explain it that if you watch the videos of that rally, the slogans shouted were against the government of Manipur, against Biren Singh and his government. It was not a communal. I didn't hear any government. Communal slogan. Then the things started. The violence started after that when the thing was
but
over.
Yes, why was the violence targeted at the Kukis and the Nagas have been exempted? Why are they not suffering similarly?
The Kukis did not start the violence. First of all.
No, I'm not saying they did. I'm saying something else. I'm saying why did that rally, where both the Kukis and the Nagas were participating,
No,
lead to Meitei Kuki clashes, but no clashes with the Nagas.
Yeah, I was coming to that. My point was that the slogans were against the government. There was nothing communal. But then the Meiteis started shouting slogans against the Kukis. Kill the Kukis. These are refugees. These are immigrants. They were targeting we were not targeting the Meiteis. We were on a solidarity march with all the tribals in the hills.
Absolutely. And when you say we, that we includes the Nagas.
Yes.
But the Meiteis in response targeted the Kukis. Why were the Nagas exempted?
Okay, that takes us to a longer discussion. Can I go into it?
Just briefly.
It is like to have an analogy, it's like a target. You know, you have in the center you have the bull, the black target. Then you have an inner circle, and then you have the magpie outside. You can look at Manipur like that. Now the surrounding hills, the inner circle are Kuki inhabited areas.
The Nagas are in the outer circle.
In the magpie area are Nagas. If you have this picture, then you will understand
Are you saying that the Kukis were the easier and the nearer target, that's why they were attacked?
Not the easier or nearer, but they were the direct neighbors of the Meiteis.
Are you also suggesting that at a later point the Nagas could be under attack?
They will be. The way the slogans are being shouted. Yesterday only, the 3 Naga girls were assaulted on the way to the airport.
But there is no Naga demand for separation. There is a Kuki demand which you forcefully explained.
These are still early days. We don't know yet.
You anticipate that in due course they will
Doors are open for them to join us.
To join you?
Yes.
What about to separate completely from you as well as from the Meitei?
We'll see about that. We'll talk about it.
But would you be happy, the Kukis, to form a separate entity with the Nagas?
Our doors are open all the time from the beginning. Feelers have been sent from both sides, but they have their own issues.
When you say feelers from both sides, you mean Kukis and Nagas have sent feelers to each other?
Yes. Also, Meiteis have sent feelers to the Nagas.
So at the moment, we don't know what the Naga future will be, but we're pretty clear that you, as a Kuki, want a separate administration for yourself outside Manipur.
We have opened our doors with them. Let us fight this together.
Let me put to you at this point how the Meiteis perceive the situation. They are 53-54% of the population of Manipur, but they're restricted to the valley, which is just 10% of the land. The tribals, the Kukis and the Nagas are together 40% of the population, and they have almost exclusive access to the hill areas, which is 90% of the state. The Meiteis cannot buy land in the hill areas unless the district councils specifically agree, which they very, very rarely do. On the other hand, the tribals, the Kukis and the Nagas can buy land in the valley. Not just the Meiteis, but many other people say this is an imbalance, this is unfair. A, do you agree that there is a land imbalance? And B, does it need to be rectified?
It looks like that. When you see 90% of Manipur are the hill areas, and Manipur is unique in the sense that the hill areas and the valley are distinctly divided between the valley people and the hill people. These are the non-tribals and the tribals. And the moment you are in the hills, you are in the tribal area. Now, the problem with the hill area, you keep saying 90%, but I will say that 90% of that 90% are inaccessible terrain, mountain and ravines. The carrying capacity is literally zero of that area. There is equal land pressure in the hills as much as in the valley.
So, is there a need to rectify what you said looks like imbalance?
Looks like imbalance.
Is there a need to rectify it?
Well, when you say 10%, 90%, it looks like there is a pressure imbalance.
But
what I'm saying is there's an equal pressure even in the hills.
Because 90% of the 90% is actually inaccessible and cannot be used.
Yeah,
it's mountains and ravines.
Population carrying capacity, which you have to take into consideration, is literally zero in 90% of that 90%.
Let me tell you the answer I got on the 9th of May from a BJP Kuki MLA, Paulin Lal Haukip. Sitting where you are, he said to me that he would be prepared to pass legislation that bars Kukis and Nagas from buying land in the valley. He says that is one way of trying to correct the imbalance. Admittedly, he said this before he signed that statement demanding separate administration, 3-4 days before that. But is that solution acceptable to you?
if that will solve the problem, that already implies that a separation of the two areas, very fair and good.
But it also implies that there's no need for a separate administration.
It leads to separation altogether.
You see this as a stepping stone.
We can't go to the hill valley, they can't come to the hills. And even that is a fiction, basically, that they can't come to the hills. If you see the exchange of population right now, there are thousands of...
as I said, Mete can only buy land in the hills with specific permission of the district councils, but I'm told that that specific permission is very, very rarely given.
But there are thousands who have settled in Churchandpur, who have been displaced. There are thousands in More, they have come to Valley. There are another thousands who are in the Kamupi district who have come there. And these are all Kuki areas. Kukis have never, it is the Kukis who have accommodated them in the hills. They have been settled there.
If I understand what you're saying correctly, Mr. Hangsheng, and correct me if I'm wrong, the reason you might be inclined to accept Mr. Paulin Lal Haukip's suggestion that the tribals be barred from buying land in the valley, just as most of the valley is barred from buying land in the hills, is because this would be a stepping stone to separation. It would make the separation you want realistic on the ground.
That is a very theoretical thing, because on the ground that is not possible. I mean, the constitution of India will not allow it, because you have a right to settlement everywhere in the country, except there's
in tribal areas.
Protected areas.
Okay.
I mean, it's just something which you're saying because you're saying it. I mean, it really
I'm not saying it. Mr. Haukip was saying it.
Well,
who's a BJP MLA and he's a Kuki.
It's a bogey point.
Okay. Let me put to you a point made by Pradeep Panjubam, the editor of the Imphal Review of Arts and Politics. He wrote this in the Asian Age on the 22nd, that is 4 days ago. I'm quoting him. The Kukis suffer from a sense of persecution. Because of a peculiar landholding tradition among them, Kuki villages have a tendency to proliferate, often causing friction with their neighbors. As a result, even normal government initiatives, such as eviction from reserved forests, or fight against poppy cultivation, or a push for citizenship registration, are seen by Kukis as targeting them. And the point he's making is a simple one. He's saying the Kukis have misunderstood what the Biren Singh government is doing and have wrongly perceived it as persecution.
But the facts show something else. This is, I think, in connection with the K. Songzang eviction of the protected forest in Churchandpur. This is all illegal move by the government, because first of all, the protected forest was not really there. It was promulgated by a notification in 1966. Demarcation was done in 1972. After which there was no follow-up action, because after the demarcation of the villages, there was no forest left.
So the point that Pradeep Panjubam is making, that the Kukis have wrongly understood what the Biren Singh government is doing and therefore wrongly perceived it as persecution, you don't agree with that point?
It is the other way around. I think the Biren Singh government has misinterpreted the forest provisions and used it to persecute the Kukis. It is the other way around.
The Biren Singh government has deliberately misunderstood.
They have deliberately done it.
So they're using the forest reservations to persecute Kukis.
Yes.
This is part of the anti-Kuki quality of Biren Singh.
Yes.
Mr. Haukip, who's a BJP MLA, actually said to me, sitting where you are, he believes Biren Singh is anti-Kuki. Do you share that?
He is. He has openly said it. I mean, in his speeches. He's called us all kinds of names.
Yes, he's accused you of illegal poppy cultivation and participating in the illegal drug trade.
He's called us poppy growers, drug dealers.
He's accused you of trespassing into forest lands which are reserved lands. And he's also accused the Kukis of illegal immigration and sheltering people from Myanmar.
See, I don't know what kind of legal advisors he has about this forest thing. If you read it properly, it is absolutely, I mean, the law has been put on its head.
But you know, everything that you've said, and we are coming back in a circular way to Biren Singh again, but everything that you've said suggests that the problem is Biren Singh, his anti-Kuki attitude, his misuse of laws to persecute Kukis. And as you said, all of this began 4 or 5 years ago, which is when he first came to power.
Yes.
And yet, removal of Biren Singh and a new, fair, objective chief minister is not the solution. You're still saying the solution has to be a separate administration outside Manipur.
It would have been a solution before this present situation.
But now not. But not now.
Now it is gone beyond that. Now. We have crossed the river, we have crossed the bridge.
Let me then put you one more complaint the Meiteis make about the Kukis. This time it was made passionately, perhaps angrily, by Nishikeet Sapam, a Meitei independent BJP supporting MLA. He said to me that there's been a disproportionate increase in the Kuki population since 1901, and he alleged upfront that this is because the Kukis are sheltering illegal immigrants from Myanmar. How do you respond to that?
On what basis he says this? You have to ask him. An MLA is a responsible person. If he says this, he should come up with evidence. He can't just loosely say this as if he is talking in a roadside chai dhaba. He should be talking responsibility with evidence. Where is the evidence?
I will actually now make a point that I think is important. I questioned and challenged Mr. Sapam on that evidence, and I will tell you what he said because he got his facts completely wrong. And I'm not repeating this to, in a way, target Mr. Sapam, but I think it's important that the truth should be given to the audience because those factually incorrect positions were told by Mr. Sapam on my show. It was on the 16th of May, Mr. Sapam, to justify his claim that illegal immigrants are being sheltered by the Kukis, claimed that in 1901, the Kuki percentage of the Manipur population was 1%. He claimed today it is 29%, then he scaled it down to 22%. All three figures were wrong. The 2011 census, which is the last census in India, says that the Kuki population is 16% of Manipur. In 1901, it was not 1%, it was 14.5%. So on all three, Mr. Sapam was wrong. Secondly, it's quite clear that in 110 years, from 1901 to 2011, the percentage increase in the Kuki population has been 1.5%, which is normal, natural, and understandable. I'm only pointing this out because those incorrect facts were portrayed and given by Mr. Sapam on my show, and I think it's important to correct the picture. Let me end by putting this to you. It's something that the Chief Minister Biren Singh said on the 22nd. And I think he was speaking to the Kukis directly, although he said this to journalists. Blame the government, he said, for what's gone wrong. He added, we will rectify. I presume he means I will rectify. More importantly, he said, the Kuki MLAs are part of our family. And then speaking of the wider Kuki community, he said, we are all brothers and sisters. I imagine that was an appeal to Kukis. Let's retain our state intact. Do you reject that appeal?
Of course. Why didn't he say this 5 years ago or 2 years ago? Why is he saying this now when he's like the school bully? He comes and kicks you in the back, hits you in the back, and he says, sorry, sorry. Typical schoolboyish, school bully attitude he's having. And this is what he's saying on TV. But behind, he's going to go and sit down with his stormtroopers, and he's going to egg them on again. His neighbor, his colleague, his minister, his neighbor in his colony, his house was being burnt. He rang him up many times. He didn't act. He knew it. He said yes, 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 and he waited till the house was completely burnt and looted.
And that minister,
that is his neighbor.
And that minister who was his neighbor whose house was burnt, was he Kuki?
He's Letpao Hokip. He told me himself.
He's a Kuki minister?
Yes.
He's a BJP Kuki minister?
BJP Kuki minister, very close to Biren. He was always with him all the time. In fact,
in other words, Biren Singh allowed a Kuki fellow cabinet minister's home to be looted and burned down to the ground, even though it was next door, promising to help but refusing to do it.
He just had to lift his phone and just tell the security to run there. He did not do it. He waited till everything was raised to the ground in ashes.
Then let me bring back.
Now he's saying all these things. We are brothers, this, that.
Let me at this point, because of what you said about Biren Singh, and it's a horrifying story you've told, bring back the BJP in Delhi. The story you've told me about Mr. Haukip's house being burned down and Biren Singh refusing to do anything must be known to Amit Shah. And yet Mr. Amit Shah has done nothing to remove Biren Singh.
Well, Biren Singh has more access to Mr. Amit Shah than we have.
But Mr. Amit Shah will still know the story. After all,
I hope somebody has told him.
Mr. Haukip, whose home was burned down, is a BJP MLA. Mr. Haukip is a minister in Biren Singh's government. How can Amit Shah in Delhi not know that the chief minister was watching his neighbour's house burn and did nothing when that neighbour is a BJP MLA and a Kuki and a minister?
I'll tell you one thing. At that time, the Karnataka elections were on. They were very busy there. They had no time. Delhi had no time to deal with a small speck in the country like Manipur.
If that's true, it tells you an awful lot about Amit Shah's attitude to Manipur to begin with. It's so unimportant, he let ministers' houses burn down. He was more interested in winning an election in Bangalore.
It looked like that. The BJP did not have time for Manipur at that time. And now that they have time, they're coming slowly. They're coming now. And
they're not coming. They simply said they will come. Who knows when they'll come?
I hope they come and they not only visit the Imphal, because if they go to Imphal, there are no Kukis there now. Who are they going to talk to in Kuki?
Quite right.
Even the ministers, MLAs don't dare to go to Imphal.
But there's another bigger problem. Given the attitude that Mr. Amit Shah has repeatedly displayed about Kuki concerns, what makes you think that he will accept your demand for separation? You made it clear that there is no way Kukis want to be in any shape and form within Manipur. So what makes you think Amit Shah will agree?
We have an option which is a long slog for us. There's no way of going back.
That option is close to civil war.
Well, we can't go back to Imphal. There are wolves, snarling wolves waiting for us.
But are you actually saying that if Amit Shah and Narendra Modi refuse to grant a separate state or a separate union territory to the Kukis, there is a long civil war you will fight till you obtain it?
We have to defend ourselves. What is the other option? We will be herded into the valley to be victims of the snarling wolves all around.
But if I understand,
our women and children will go there.
But if I understand correctly, what you're saying is either give us a separate state or union territory or face up to a constant fight from us.
We'll die either ways. We go there, we die, we fight, die.
But you are prepared to
we are prepared.
to wage war.
Yes. We have to defend ourselves. We are not waging war, we are defending ourselves.
Comes to the same thing.
It's the same thing. Villagers are digging up shotguns. They don't have weapons.
I hear in front of me, Mr. Hangshing, the voice of desperation. And I see that your desperate desire to be free of the Maites, to be separate, gives you the strength to say, we will, if need be, fight and wage war, but we will not continue as part of Manipur.
No, it can't be. That is over. We have crossed it.
So there's a message.
Can't go back.
There's a clear message here for Amit Shah and Narendra Modi. Do not insist we stay part of Manipur, otherwise there will be greater violence and war.
We die either way. What is our option? There is nothing left for us.
Mr. Hangshing, I hope the government is hearing you, because the prospect of refusing you what you want would be terrible. We're talking of greater violence being waged for years and decades. I don't know whether separation is the answer, because that's for the government to decide. But what you have shown quite clearly is that you are desperate and you are at the end of your tether. Is that right?
Right.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch The Interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me.